Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to the nominees. Thank you all for being here. I want to start with you, Mr. Trung, Ms. Suttonberg, and Mr. Ricard. You've all been nominated, so they put you all right together, right in the middle. You've been nominated to the D.C. Superior Court. I just want to ask you a question or two about your judicial philosophy, and I want to start by referencing a picture that maybe will come up behind me. This was maybe a photo you've seen before. It's not a pleasant one, but it did occur right here in the district. This is Edward Corstein. Edward was 19 years old when this photo was taken. This is just from July of this year. He was a government employee at the time. This is in Logan Circle here in the district. He was out one evening, I think with his girlfriend.
What's up, patriots? Welcome back to Rights Rally, where we talk about truth, justice, and the American way, without any of the woke nonsense. Today, I've got something that's going to absolutely boil your blood. Senator Josh Hawley, one of the few guys in Washington still willing to speak some truth, grilled a group of Biden judicial nominees for the D.C. Superior Court. And let me tell you, what he exposed says everything about how broken our so-called justice system has become. So here's the deal.
When he was attacked, he and his female friend both were attacked by a roving band of teenagers who left him in this condition, beat him pretty badly, as you can see. He was able to get his female friend into the car and safe, and then turned and confronted the whole band of them himself. And this is the condition he was left in. Looks pretty violent to me, but when the assailants were taken before the D.C. Superior Court, the relevant judge, Judge Kendra Briggs, who I'm sad to say was reported favorably out of this committee, though, over my no vote, she gave the assailants 0 prison time. 0 prison time. And what she said was the purpose of sentencing is not punishment. That's a quote, not punishment. It is rehabilitation. And apparently she thinks that allowing people who do that kind of thing to 19-year-olds, allowing them to get off without any kind of punishment is rehabilitative. That is its own interesting question. But I want to ask you first, do you agree that the purpose of sentencing is not punishment, but rehabilitation? I'd like to hear from each of you on this. I think it's an important question. Mr. Trung, let's start with you.
Thank you, Senator. My approach to sentencing is to consider the pre-sentencing report of the defendants, the witness victim impact statement, the community impact statement, any recommendations from the prosecutors and the...
But what's the purpose of sentencing in your words? What's your philosophy?
My approach to sentencing is to consider all the facts, apply the law, and to impose sentence that reflects the seriousness of the crimes.
Well, do you think that punishment is an appropriate aspect of sentencing?
That is one factor to consider within the context of the approach to sentencing.
Do you agree with Judge Biggs that the purpose of sentencing is not punishment but rehabilitation?
Your Honor, Senator, I don't have...
That's fine. You can say Your Honor. It's all right. I'll answer that.
I appear in court so many times that I have the reflex of referring to those in the honorific title. Well, Senator, I don't have all the information that Judge Briggs had in front of her. So and I need to be circumspect in my response because judicial canons counsel that as a judicial nominee, I should refrain from commenting issues that may appear before me.
Well, I'm not asking you to comment on this case. This case is over. You're not going to have this case. I'm asking you about you, and I'm not asking you about her. I'm asking you about you. I want to know what your judicial philosophy is. And my question is, would you agree that the purpose of sentencing is not punishment, but rehabilitation? That's a pretty stark, that framing is pretty stark. Not punishment, but rehabilitation. Do you think that's right?
Well, my sentencing philosophy is to impose a sentence that reflects the seriousness of the crimes and the imposed consequences that are deserved within the context of studying the facts and applying the law to the facts.
Okay, I wish you'd be a little less circumspect. Ms. Suttonberg, go ahead.
Senator, I can't speak to that particular case given that, but I will say that I spent my career as a prosecutor fighting crime, and I'm certainly committed to ensuring accountability structures and judge both for juveniles and for adults. When it comes to sentencing, I think that there are important retribution, deterrence, incapacitation, rehabilitation. given the severity of the crime, I think you have to look to what is going to serve the interest in any particular case. And there could be different goals that are depending on the
Let me ask you this. Shouldn't keeping the public safe be a major goal of sentencing?
Yes.
Shouldn't keeping violent offenders off of our streets be a goal of sentencing?
I absolutely agree. There should be.
Okay, good. Mr. Ricard, what about you?
Yes, Senator, thank you. I would follow the law of the District of Columbia, which requires considering a number of factors, including the seriousness of the offense, imposing a sentence that reflects the seriousness of the offense and the criminal history of the offender, a sentence that provides sufficient deterrence, both specific deterrence to the individual offender and general deterrence to the community, and that the third factor does consider rehabilitation, but that's just one of the three factors that has to be considered.
And last question, Mr. Chairman, and do you agree that protecting the public and getting violent offenders off the streets is an important goal of sentencing?
Yes, I think that's the deterrence that I just mentioned. Specific deterrence is making sure that someone who's committed a violent crime and is likely to do so again would not do so.
Well, I have some more questions for those of the rest of you on the panel. I'm sure you're very disappointed I didn't get to ask you any. Congratulations again on your nomination.
Thank you. We've had some discussion, about the necessity for independence of.
Hawley starts by showing a picture, a brutal, tragic image of a 19-year-old government employee named Edward Corstein. This young man was beaten nearly to death by a roving gang of teenagers in D.C. He was out with his girlfriend, minding his own business, when these punks attacked him, left him bloodied, broken, and traumatized. Now, what do you think happened when those attackers were brought before the court? You'd think they'd be held accountable, right? You'd think a violent assault would lead to real punishment? Nope. The judge, Kendra Briggs, decided to give them 0 prison time. 0. She literally said, and I quote, asterisk, the purpose of sentencing is not punishment. Asterisk. Excuse me. Not punishment? Then what exactly is it for? Folks, this is the exact problem with our criminal justice system under leftist ideology. They've replaced justice with therapy. They care more about the feelings of criminals than the safety of innocent Americans. Senator Hawley brought up this case for a reason, because he wanted to see if these new nominees, handpicked by the Biden administration, share that same soft-on-crime mindset. So he asked them straight up, do you agree that the purpose of sentencing is not punishment, but rehabilitation? First up, Mr. Trung, he danced around the question like a career bureaucrat. Said something about considering the facts and applying the law. He wouldn't even say whether punishment is an appropriate goal. He hid behind judicial canons and being circumspect. Translation: I don't want to say the wrong thing and ruin my nomination. Then Ms. Suttonberg stepped in. She's got a background as a prosecutor, good start, and she actually listed out all the normal sentencing goals: retribution, deterrence, incapacitation, rehabilitation. And when Hawley pressed her, shouldn't keeping the public safe be a major goal of sentencing? She said yes. Finally, a bit of common sense. But even she seemed hesitant to stand firm on punishment. It's like everyone in that room is terrified to say that criminals deserve consequences. Then we had Mr. Ricard, who gave a more law school answer. Talked about the seriousness of the offense, criminal history, deterrence, and finally admitted that rehabilitation is just one of several factors. So basically, the one guy who actually mentioned deterrence and keeping violent offenders off the street had to spell it out like it was a radical concept. Here's the truth, patriots. We've reached a point in America where common sense is controversial. When a judge says the purpose of sentencing is not punishment, they're not just making a legal point, they're making a moral statement. They're saying that violent offenders, people who beat a 19-year-old to a pulp, deserve understanding instead of justice. They're saying the victims don't matter as much as the offenders' rehabilitation. And that mindset is killing our cities. Look around: Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York, San Francisco. Crime is out of control, and these progressive judges and prosecutors keep letting violent offenders walk. They say they're doing it in the name of equity or compassion. But what they're really doing is abandoning the very idea of law and order, the foundation of a civilized nation. See, real patriots understand something simple. Justice without accountability is not justice at all. When someone commits a violent crime, there must be punishment. Not out of vengeance, but because punishment protects the public, deters future crimes, and shows that actions have consequences. Without that, society falls apart. That's what Senator Hawley was trying to remind these nominees. He wasn't attacking them personally. He was defending the idea that justice should actually mean something. And he's absolutely right. It's time we stop electing and confirming people who treat criminals like victims and victims like an afterthought. We need judges who believe in accountability, not excuses. We need leaders who understand that the first duty of government is to protect its citizens, not to rehabilitate violent offenders at the expense of public safety. If someone beats an innocent kid in the street, I don't care what their background story is, they belong behind bars. Period. That's not cruelty, that's justice. That's common sense. So yeah, huge respect to Senator Josh Hawley for holding the line and asking the tough questions. Because if we don't demand accountability now, we're going to wake up in a country where crime pays and law-abiding citizens pay the price. What do you guys think? Should sentencing focus on punishment, or do you think rehabilitation should be the main goal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a real conversation about what justice should mean in America. If you stand with law and order, if you stand for real justice and accountability, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for more no-nonsense conservative commentary. We're not backing down, patriots. We're standing for truth, order, and the safety of the American people. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. United States.